Jaya Radha Madhava Punjabi Hari. Jaya Radha Madhava Punjabi Hari. Gopi Janavallabha Girivardhari. Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Girivardhari. Yashoda Nandana Brajajana Ranjana. Yashoda Nandana Brajajana Ranjana. Yamunatira Vanachari. Yamunatira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Punjabi Hari. Jaya Radha Madhava Punjabi Hari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari. Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari. Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana. Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana. Yamunatira Vanachari. Yamunatira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Punjabi Hari. Jaya Radha Madhava Punjabi Hari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari. Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari. Yashoda Nandana Brajajana Ranjana. Yashoda Nandana Brajajana Ranjana. Yamunatira Vanachari. Yamunatira Vanachari. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Paribrajacharya Astotra Shata Shri Srimad A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai Samaveda Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai Sri Varaha Dev Appearance Day Ki Jai Nitai Gaura Premanandi. Good morning. Welcome to Srimad Bhagavatam class. And happy Appearance Day of Lord Varahadev. Better? Okay. So, we'll be reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, 10th Canto, chapter 71, verse 5. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Sarasatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudidayat Nasta Prayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttamasloka Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtaki Mukam Karoti Vachalam Bhangulangayate Girim Yat Kripatamaham Vande Shri Gurun Dinatarinam Paramananda Madhavam Shri Chaitanya Isharam Om Agyanatimarandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Romapada Swami Iti Namine Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Iti Namine Namaste Sarasate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Pasyata Deshatarine. Savai Durvishaho Raja Nagayuta Samobale Balinam Apichanyesham Bhimam Sama Balam Vina Savai Durvishaho Raja Nagayuta Samobale Balinam Apichanyesham Bhimam Sama Balam Vina Savai Durvishaho Raja Naga Yuta Samo Bale Balinam Apichan Yesham Bhimam Sama Balam Vina. Please chant. Raja Nagayuta Samobale Balinam Yesham Bhimam Sama Balam Savaidu Vishaho Raja Nagayuta Samobale Balinana Vichan Yesham Bhimam Sama Balam Vina Savaidu Vishaho Raja Nagayuta Samobale Balinam Vichan Yesham Bhimam Sama Balam Vina Saha he Jarasandha by indeed Dervishaha invincible Raja king Naga elephants Ayuta to 10,000 Samaha equal Bale in strength Balinam among powerful men Api indeed Cha and Anyesham others Bhimam Bhima Samabalam equal in strength Vina except for. Translation and purports by the disciples of His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada. The invincible King Jarasandha is as strong as 10,000 elephants. Indeed, other powerful warriors cannot defeat him. Only Bhima is equal to him in strength. Purport. Sridhar Swami explains that the Yadavas were extremely eager to kill Jarasandha, and thus, to caution them, Sri Uddhava spoke this verse. Jarasandha's death could come only at the hands of Bhima. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti adds that Uddhava had previously deduced this from Jyotir Raga and other astrological scriptures he had learned from his teacher Brihaspati. So at this point in the Bhagavatam, Krishna is discussing with his ministers. The foremost would be Uddhava. His most trusted would be Uddhava. Whether he should go to the Rajasuya sacrifice or he should protect the kings from Jarasandha, trying to decide how to go about his day. And he's hearing from Uddhava that there's only one person that can kill Jarasandha, so they're strategizing about how to go about doing this, what should be done, who should do what, etc. So that's where Krishna finds himself in this verse, and we find ourselves today in the middle of three of some of the most confusing fasting days that we have in the year for some people. So yesterday was Ekadasi, today's Dwadasi, today's an appearance day, tomorrow's an appearance day. Sounds more complicated than it is. Today is considered a Mahadwadasi. So that means we fasted till noon yesterday for today's appearance day, and yesterday we broke fast with Ekadasi Prasad. So today we have a nice feast for Lord Varahadev, and tomorrow we'll fast till noon for the appearance of Nityananda, and then have a nice feast. So it's only surface level confusing. So Krishna makes it part of his business when he comes here, part of his manifested pastimes, to either eliminate or arrange for the elimination of miscreants, rascals, demons, etc. So, for example, he killed himself, the wind demon, as a child. He killed Kamsa himself. But he doesn't. He's not the only one that gets to have the fun. He'll let Balaram have some fun. Balaram kills 2 demons in Raja Leela, and later, as we were reading a couple weeks ago, Balaram gets to go and have some fun in Hastinapur, and now it's going to be Bhima's turn to slay a miscreant. But that's coming up. And we can find this same activity going on in Lord Varaha's Leela in the 3rd canto, where he comes for a twofold purpose, pretty much 2 things wrapped into one. He comes to eliminate Hiranyaksha, great demon who's causing so much trouble in the earth, and he comes to save the earth that is plunged into the ocean. So today being the appearance day of Lord Varaha, I thought I would talk about that for a little bit, because it kind of, it does, in a slightly abstract way, relate to what's going on in this chapter, what's going on in today's verse. So Lord Brahma, after the ocean, or after the earth had fallen into the ocean, the causal ocean, Lord Brahma was lamenting that the earth had been, as it says in the Bhagavatam, inundated with deluge, which is the cause of the earth's falling. Brahma became very bewildered. This is his one of the planets that he created, and now all of this is going on. He's just not sure what to do. So he's trying to think, what to do. When all of a sudden, very, very small boar comes out of his nostril and says that the boar was not more than the upper portion of a thumb. So that's not, it's not such a bad thing to have come out of your nose. Not too big. A little oddly shaped, but must not have been too uncomfortable. So this was, a strange occurrence. It's not normally how births take place. There's no animals on this planet, at least, that normally give birth out of their nose. So some great personalities like Marichi, the Kumaras, and Manu took notice and began discussing with Lord Brahma what was going on, as Raha comes from Brahma's nose and goes into the sky, and then he starts to grow. In a few moments. It said he is the size of a large boulder, which is pretty rapid expansion. And then he assumes the size of a very, very large mountain. And all this while, Brahma is deliberating and discussing, trying to figure out what's going on and what to do. And then Then the Lord in his form of a boar began to roar magnificently, which when you're that size must have been incredibly loud as well. And due to this roaring, the assembled sages began chanting Vedic scriptures, to which the Lord replied by roaring some more. So they must have known, okay, we're chanting, he's roaring, this must be a good thing. So in that form of a boar, the Lord plunged himself into the ocean and picked the earth up with his tusks and pulled it out of the ocean. And after pulling the earth out of the ocean, he fought with the demon Hiranyaksha, who's the brother of Hiranyakashipu. And it's described that he was like an elephant playing with the earth suspended between his tusks. And as he's doing this, he assumes a bluish complexion, like a tamal tree. And by assuming this color, the sages were able to understand that this is actually the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This isn't some new species of boar. This is the Lord himself. And Srila Prabhupada says in a purport, the Lord can assume any form he likes, and in all circumstances, he is the cause of all causes. Since his form is transcendental, he is always the Supreme Personality of Godhead, as he is in the causal ocean in the form of Mahavishnu. He is never to be misunderstood to be other than the Supreme Lord because of his assuming the form of a boar to lift the earth. That is the clear instruction from the sages and great personalities like Brahma and other residents of the higher planetary systems. And Jiva Goswami, in that same mood, says in the Karma Sandarbha, he who thinks he knows the limits of your activities is foolish. It is impossible to know this. And in another commentary, he says, he is determined to destroy the people suffering, endowed with mercy and worthy of praise. His praiseworthy nature is described. He is pleased with anyone who hears these pastimes concerning Hiranyaksha. The following verse says, when the Lord is satisfied, no blessing is unobtainable. The Lord dwelling in the heart arranges his supreme abode for the devotees who worship him without material motives. Sri Jiva Goswami's commentary continues to say that though the Lord bestows all results, the highest result of his mercy is described that the realization of his spiritual form. So we should be really basic instruction. Actually, we should be hearing the Lord's pastimes in all of the different forms, all of the different pastimes that he displays for us, because this is what's going to ultimately bestow his benediction on us. And it's the first process that's described by Prahlad Maharaj, Shravanam, that we should be hearing about the Lord's name, fame, qualities, pastimes, even hearing about his associates and his places where he does his pastimes and things of that nature, is the first principle of performing devotional service. Shravanam, then Kirtanam. Jiva Goswami also tells us that the Lord's topics, like streams of nectar, cannot be given up. This is stated in the negative. Who except an animal would reject them? So we know that hearing about the Lord, all of these things, is most wonderful. and benediction bestowing. It's one of the things that's going to get us out of this material world, is hearing these pastimes, chanting these pastimes, remembering these pastimes, thinking about them. And we're in this human birth, and the goal of the human birth is to execute religious activities. To spend our time doing anything else is the greatest waste of time. That's why Jiva Goswami says it's, only an animal would reject hearing about the Lord. If it doesn't have to do with Krishna, or things having to do with Krishna, or the things having to do with the things having to do with Krishna, then what's the use for us as devotees? What's the use of hearing these things, talking about these things? It's a distraction away from the ultimate goal. And the pure devotee, by his example, we can say that the pure devotee is always relishing such topics, hearing about them. Srila Prabhupada very much appreciated reading and hearing read his own books. It was very common on Janmashtami, wherever Prabhupada was, that he would have somebody read Krishna book. And they would read Krishna book for hours and hours. And, the devotees would start kind of falling out. There's, these pretty funny stories about the sannyasis that be sitting in the front, they'd have their danda, and you'd see dandas start to sway and fall over after a little bit of time as the sannyasi is induced to take rest. But Prabhupada was always very attentively hearing, and he could go on hearing much longer than anyone else without becoming tired or distracted or anything else. And that's because he's really, truly relishing hearing about Krishna. So, those of us that aren't on that platform, we know what to strive for and know what we're moving towards and what to look forward to. That by hearing about Krishna and his pastimes, we become, actually, instead of becoming tired, we should be becoming enthused and excited and energized hearing these things. And Mahaprabhu sets for us the gold standard that he wouldn't even meet with a king who was a pure devotee because he was a king. Prataparudra's whole family was a family of pure devotees. And when it was brought up to Mahaprabhu that this devotee would very much like to meet you, and then they kind of mentioned, oh, he's a king too. He said, nope, not going to do it. Can't meet with the king. It's inappropriate for a sannyasi because there's so much involved with worldly affairs. We know from reading the Chaitanya Charitamrita that it eventually happens. There's that meeting that takes place. Very joyous pastime. And since this is a preaching movement, we're induced to meet with worldly people and talk to them. But when we do so, we should strive, when we're preaching, we should strive to kind of control the conversation. Don't let it go off the rails into this, that, or the other, and try to keep it focused on Krishna. And even in our dealings, those of us that have to do business and things of that nature, work a job, etc., we should be reluctant to discuss mundane topics. And even more so, we should be reluctant to do so in front of the deities. This is a very important injunction, that it's actually an offense to discuss mundane topics in front of the deities. So that should be avoided completely. Sometimes it's unavoidable, but we should as far as possible avoid. So an interesting note from reading the 13th chapter? The 13th chapter of the third canto that describes these pastimes of Lord Varaha is they are taking place, some of the details take place in two different epochs, and they're both being described at the same time. So there's been at least two manifestations in two different Manvantaras of the Varaha form of the Lord, but there's a third one that's happened significantly more recently. Does anybody know what this pastime is? More recent pastime of Varahadev? No? 500 years ago. Yeah. 500 years ago, Lord Chaitanya manifested himself as Varahadev. Yes. Yes. So I'd also like to discuss that too. It's in both the Chaitanya Charitamrita and the Chaitanya Bhagavat. So after this, I'll give my plug for the Chaitanya Charitamrita because it's that time of year as well. So one day upon hearing the glories of Varahadev, Lord Chaitanya went to the home of Murari Gupta. And I'll throw another little aside in there. Does anyone know who Murari Gupta is? In previous incarnations, he participates primarily in one other pastime of Krishna. Does anyone know who he is? Yeah, who is Murari Gupta? Yes, Murari Gupta is Hanuman. So Mahaprabhu rushes to the house of Murari Gupta, and as he enters, he starts chanting, "Boar! Boar!" Murari Gupta became very confused. And as he enters the house of Murari Gupta chanting, "Boar! Boar!" Mahaprabhu noticed that there's a water pot in Murari's Vishnu temple. He goes to the water pot, picks it up with his teeth. And as he did this, he exhibits his Varaha form, manifesting horns and hoofs in front of Murari Gupta. And this was a very ecstatic pastime. Murari Gupta embraces the Lord, and they dance together in ecstasy. And it's described in the Chaitanya Charitamrita that after this, the Lord ate an offering of raw rice given by Shuklambar Brahmachari, and then explained the Harinam verse. Which I find interesting, this series of events going from the ecstasy of the boar incarnation to discussing the holy name. But this is also one of our most important verses, period. We all know this verse, Harinam, Harinama, Harinama eva kevalam, Kalanasti evanasti gatir anyata. In this age of Kali Yuga, there is no other means for self-realization than chanting the holy name, chanting the holy name, chanting the holy name of Lord Hari. And in this instruction immediately following the Varaha incarnation of Mahaprabhu, he teaches Nama Rupe Krishna Avatara, that the holy name is the incarnation of Krishna himself. He describes the meanings of the grammar used in the verse as well. That Eva certainly is repeated 3 times for emphasis, and Har Nam is repeated 3 times for common people to understand. And the use of the word Kevala only prohibits all other processes such as jnana, karma, performances of austerities, and the mystic yoga processes. And Prabhupada tells us in the commentary that some groups, by pointing this out, some groups might become angry with us, but we don't compromise with these people. By Shastric injunction, we understand that these groups are not on the same level as chanting the holy name, because chanting in this age is the highest principle. And the following verse tells practitioners of any other process in this age are not capable of being delivered. So really, driving home the importance of chanting, and that's one of the main treatises in the Chaitanya Charitamrita that Kaviraj Goswami, in so many different ways, quoting from so many different people that he both does and doesn't cite, Mahaprabhu himself speaking so many times the importance of chanting. We're so fortunate to have this information in this age. There was a point in time in the life of Bhaktivinoda Thakur where he wanted to find a copy of the Chaitanya Charitamrita. But at that time, it wasn't readily available like it was today. For quite some time, he was searching it out, unable to find a copy. And eventually, after so much searching, he found a copy. But we're so very fortunate that it's so readily available. And it's not just readily available in Bengali, it's readily available in very, very many languages. And it's not, we don't have to go through some great austerity to get it. It's right downstairs in the book room. And this is the time of year from tomorrow through Gora Purnima on the 24th of March. We'll be doing a Chaitanya Charitamrita marathon, distribution marathon. And it's very much recommended that we do what we can to try to distribute the Chaitanya Charitamrita. And I'm sure everyone in this room has a copy or has access, but those online as well should also participate as far as possible to help distribute the Chaitanya Charitamrita. So if you don't have a set, get one. If you do have a set, get one and give it to someone else. And if you have one and get one and give it to someone else, then you can get another one and give it to someone else, or you can get another one for yourself. The point is, distribute the Chaitanya Charitamrita, because as this pastime of Mahaprabhu's war incarnation tells us, after the ecstasy of the Boar incarnation, he elaborates for quite a while on how important the holy name is. And this information isn't readily available for anyone else. There's so many different processes, but the highest of which so many times is explained in the Chaitanya Charitamrita to be chanting. And as devotees coming in this line of Mahaprabhu, we should strive to understand his pastimes, his teaching, his mood, and the ultimate purpose for which he incarnated, which is to spread the holy name. And that's the as appropriate for time, place, and circumstance. That is the reason which, one of the reasons which Krishna incarnates in every age, is to deliver the fallen, reestablish religious principles, kill the miscreants. So Bhaktisiddhanta tells in his commentary on this pastime in the Chaitanya Bhagavat that the thousand-headed Ananta properly glorifies you with his 1,000 tongues, yet he does not find satiation. He holds innumerable universes on top of his one hood, so no one is able to surpass Anantadev in properly glorifying you. So we are unable to glorify the Lord on our own. I mean, if Ananta can't do it, Ananta has 1,000 mouths with which to glorify the Lord. I have one, and I'm not very good at using it, especially when a fly tries to go into it. But we do what we can, right? We do what we can to, glorify the Lord, to chant his names, even if we can't chant with real attention and real purity. We try because it's a purificatory process. Even if we can't properly hear, we try to hear as best we can, even if we have to inspect the backside of our eyelids when we're hearing, or if we enter into samadhi when hearing. These are things I'm guilty of quite regularly. It doesn't dampen our excitement to hear. So we should always be trying to hear. We should always be trying to chant. And Mahaprabhu teaches us himself that we should always be trying to share these things. Mahaprabhu doesn't come with weapons. Krishna comes with weapons and associates with weapons and associates that are stronger than 10,000 elephants and all sorts of wonderful things. When he comes as Krishna, he comes with all of this. But Mahaprabhu is a little bit more simple. His only real weapon in this age is the holy name. So we are hearing these wonderful pastimes of Krishna and his saving of kings and his slaying of demons and all of these wonderful things. The last few chapters I found that they're particularly incredible and opulent, describing Krishna's activities as a king. It's something that when we compare with our world leaders today, it's it's a gulf of difference between what Krishna does and how the world leaders of today act. But it's for me at least, it's a little more easy to understand. It's a little more palatable or digestible, at least, to understand that Krishna doesn't always come to kill demons. This is kind of a meditation of my own that, geez, I've got, enough demoniac qualities. It's kind of not a very good thing. So what Mahaprabhu does when he comes is he comes to eliminate the demoniac qualities. And that's done by chanting. It's an effacing process that slowly removes these unwanted things from our heart. Chepto darpana marjanam, right? That slowly we become purified by this process. Not that because I have so many improprieties or misgivings or demoniac qualities that I'm going to be eliminated, but these bad qualities get eliminated. And this is our great fortune. So with that, I don't particularly have anything more, so I'll open up for questions or discussion, chastisement, criticism, concerns, complaints, etc. Okay. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai.